Hey guys, this is you live. So wanted to give this quick shout out to you small guys. Let me tell you what's going on right now. We're just coming off this weekend with this financial scare. And that's what this is. There's a lot of fear going on right now in the markets. Now, when it comes to your HVAC business, how does that affect you? Well, in every way. This is why those of you who are already in business are feeling the pullback. You're having a harder time selling. You're having a harder time getting good qualified customers in the funnel. So what does this mean? Well, this means that times are changing. The good old days are going bye-bye. We've been talking about this pre-pandemic, okay? And forgive me for using code words, but this particular platform doesn't like when we speak to honestly, you know what I mean? And so I'll speak in circles just a little bit. Guys, the number one thing that you're going to have to understand is that price is going to be a big influencer going forward. Traditionally, we stuck our chest out and we said, you know, we do the best work in town, and you're going to pay our price or you're going to have to go get somebody else. Well, you should still stick your chest out. You should still be proud. You should still have your standards. But what I'm trying to tell you is that price is going to be an issue, and people are watching their money. And the people who want high-end service, people who want it done right, and they understand if something's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And they also understand that if they pay something too cheaply, they'll probably end up paying again. They end up paying twice. And so people still understand that. But your ability to communicate your value is going to be really important. And much of this is subconscious, it's emotional. Okay. But price is logical, and it too is emotional. And a lot of people are going to look at that price and think you're the same as everybody else unless you know how to communicate that. Let's go back to the price. Right now, we're coming off the heels of the old GP method, okay, where people just mark their stuff up by gross profit calculation. And they just basically had an across the board formula that they applied no matter what the equipment cost, no matter what the labor cost was. And it does not work accurately. It never has. And if you've seen this, if you've used that formula to do labor intensive jobs, you know, that 2-day change out instead of the one, and you wonder why you're not making any money and you look at your GP per hour, that's why. So what we've done is we put the net profit program together for you. Now, currently, I'm going to go through and I'm doing all new recordings one-on-one. I want to streamline this and get right to the point because the training on this is quite elaborate because it's very powerful. You're going to have the ability to do things that you've never done before. So those of you who just recently opted in and you're seeing the old webinar recordings as your guideline, come back because I want you to see what we've added, and we've got a couple of little additions that we're going to throw in there for you. For those of you that were part of those original webinars, you've seen this thing evolve, right? We've added one thing and then another thing and then another thing, and we've really made it so that you have a lot of flexibility off this tool and you own it. Now, here's the difference again, okay? When these other companies are using this method for pricing, they establish a market value for your changeouts out there. So you've got a changeout furnace and AC system. You know that the price tends to be about here. Now, your competition's overhead is going to be somewhere in here. And if you're that one-man operation, yours is way down here. And so if you had the ability to sell at the same level as the high-end companies, you'd make tremendous profits. But if you've tried that, you're probably finding out that it's hard to get the price that they get for some reason. And that's another piece that we'll talk about. So fundamentally, what I want you to understand is that there is a market value out there, and there's that number that you, with your numbers, in your situation, paying your bills and yourself. So that, you got to pay your bills. You got to include that. I'll show you how to do that. There's a number at which we call it break even, which anything beneath that, you lose money. Anything above that becomes profit, net profit, not gross profit. We don't use the gross profit method. We're using a more accurate formula. We know exactly what our overhead is. We know exactly how to apply that to our different services. I walk you through that in the training. I hope that you guys have taken advantage of this. It's so darn cheap in terms of anything else out there, especially given the fact that as it stands right now, you're going to own it. This is yours. It's yours. Okay. That aside, talking about this economy, what's going on? We can't talk about certain things because we've been censored. 1984 is here, and we have to kind of maneuver accordingly. There's a lot of injustice, and Hollywood has taught us we stand up to injustice and we take it head on. Well, in the real world, it's just not that easy. Sometimes it takes a little bit of strategy and tactics, and so we're going to have to adjust accordingly. We are forming a private group. We're going to figure out how to do this off platform so that you have some place to go so that we can compare notes, so that you can see if you're having a hard time in your market getting sales or getting customers to call you or getting something. We've got other people in the group that are in other parts of the country, and they're going to share with you what they're doing that works. You're going to share with them what you're doing, what works. And collectively, we're going to create some tools that are going to empower the entire group. That's the idea. But we have to shoot straight. We have to talk about the elephant in the room. We have to talk about what's really going on. And there's a lot of confusion out there. I used to believe this left-right paradigm, this, vote for this group or vote for that group paradigm. And I've always, if you guys don't know me by now, I've always leaned right, more conservative. But, when you start to see how the game is played, you realize it doesn't matter which side, things are going to happen in a way that people way up the ladder want, and the rest of us kind of have to adjust accordingly. And that's being challenged. And so there's a lot of stuff going on. So if you look at things spiritually, you probably can pull back and see things from a higher perspective. I think that's really important. If you don't, not yet, just pay attention. You may get sobered up, before you know it. But listen, here's some strategies I want to share with you for now. Okay. Number one, dial in on your numbers and know exactly where you need to be. Keep your finger on the pulse of what the market value is, what those systems are selling for, so that you can always be just beneath that to win that job. You need to win the jobs. Okay. You need to hit a quota. In order to hit a quota, you're going to have to establish a quota. You need to know exactly how many change outs, how many service calls you need, and accessory sales or hourly, commercial hourly rate. How many hours you have to bill every month. And we have to build within that your costs of doing business, your overhead, as well as your draw. I know you're in the field, a lot of you, but you need all of this dialed in. That's number one. Number two, we're going to have to look at how do we get attention? How do we get people to call us? What is the best strategy? What are people using right now? What is going to continue to work as times get tougher, and what is not going to work to the same level as times get tougher? Now, one thing I want to advise you personally, if you have really good credit, don't go into debt for anything. Pay everything off and operate off of cash right now. Don't borrow money. I mean, obviously you can use your credit line to keep things moving, but never put, this is my advice, don't put anything on there that exceeds what you can't pay off on that same month right now. Okay, here's why. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for second mortgages. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for to get you in debt. And then when the quote unquote big event happens, whatever that ends up being, or set of events, a lot of people are going to lose their homes, guys. A lot of people are not going to be able to afford your services. And really, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to change for the worse. And those of you who have good credit, and if you don't have really good credit, just do your best for now to clean it up and get out of debt and get you a little card if you have to go pay for one. Capital One for a couple of $100 or whatever, they'll give you a credit card and you'll start building credit. Okay. For those of you who are new and don't have credit. But anyway, clean it up, do whatever you've got to do, keep that clean, because on the other side is all of these people find themselves upside down as this quote unquote event occurs. You need to be on the other side in a position to be able to walk into something and catapult you ahead. And if you have really good credit and you set up properly with a signature, you'll be able to take certain things on. And if you're set up properly in the business, you'll be able to afford it. So right now, your cash cow is your heating and air conditioning business. For those of you who are already in business, if you responded to this name of the the one man business, and you're not there yet, that's okay. Jump in with us. We'll show you how to do this. You're going to have to do the hustle a little bit. You're going to have to get out there and make this work, but you can do it. I did it, guys. I got laid off. That's how I started my business. It was the recession back in the late 80s, given my age. I was let go, get this, for being too ambitious. The owner decided that if he was going to invest in people to stay in his company, he was going to, and there was two people that were hired after me in the service side. I was a service technician, that he would invest in them because he knew they would stay, and that Pete is just going to leave one day because he's too ambitious. I didn't see myself as that, but maybe he saw something in me I didn't see in myself at that time. But that's how this thing started. Fortunately, I just got my license, and initially I bounced over and got another job, but I was the last tech in, and it just, wasn't no time before they laid off. Everybody was feeling that. This is what's coming, only it's going to be different, okay, this time. And so I was thrown out there, guys. I was working out of the back of my family's car. It was a station wagon because I had 3 kids, a wife that didn't work. I know what it's like to come up, and I was in a crappy market. I know what it's like to come up during tough times. I know what it takes to struggle and make a business out of what appears to be no business, okay? And your biggest asset is going to be your ability to drive cash. That means you hang on to your tools. You continue to improve your skills and your knowledge. And that goes outside of the technical skills. This stuff is vitally important, guys. That's why I keep pushing the pricing program. Learn how to price accurately. If you're guessing at this, or you're just charging what everybody else is charging, you're just trying to get as much money as you can get, you're doing it wrong. And that is a short runway. Okay. And it falls off to the bottomless pit or something. It's not going to work. It's not going to last. Okay. So you've got to take care of certain things. Keep your house in order. Keep your credit clean. Don't go into debt. Pay as you go. Get out there and network in your community, old school way. Continue to use digital. Okay. Don't get me wrong. You want to be on Google Business. You want to be on local service ads as a Google guaranteed contractor if you can get on there and if you have enough reviews and if you qualify. And you want a good SEO program, search engine optimization, so that when people search for your business or your services, you come up somewhere on the first page or second page, right? If nobody can find you, what good is a website? And by the way, when that's integrated with Google Business and your social media and other citations out there, everything kind of floats on that rising tide. And so your SEO will come up in these other areas. The reason SEO is important is people continue to go to Google to search, and they're going to be leaving in droves the big mega companies, and they're going to be going to Google looking for an alternative source. So this is where marketing position comes in. How are you going to position yourself so that people see you as a viable option? Because high-end customers don't want the cheapest price. They don't want the guy that may never come back or may break something, even though he thinks he knows what he's doing. These are experienced customers. They've been burnt before. They're not going to get burnt again. And that's why it's more than price. You think it's just about the price because you've heard that with one type of customer. Then when you interact with a higher end customer, you confuse and you have that same response and it doesn't pan out. That's why they don't do business with you and they pay more to do business with the bigger guy. But you can fix that even if you are small. There's a strategy for all of that. So anyway, I'm rambling on. If you want to be part of our community, email me at hvacgreatness@gmail.com. It's in the description towards the bottom there. And put in the subject line, community. We want to be part of that community. And we're going to do something off of this platform and any other social media platform that nobody else can mess with so that we can have these open conversations and strategize together and test things together. Because guys, it's going to get tight, especially that first year when everything has this major pullback, because people can run on fumes for a long time before they go out of business completely. People can underprice and lose money and use their credit line for a period of time before it catches up to them. So you're going to have to know where your floor is. You're going to have to know exactly how many service calls you've got to have and how many change outs you're going to have in order to make ends meet when it gets to that point. Now, the ride to that point between now and then is you maximize that gap between what you got to have just to get by and what the market value is selling on, and you should be up in there as well as possible. That's going to start there, but you're going to see the prices start to pull back. You just know when you're going to have to stop, and we're going to talk about strategies on how to really communicate to people so you can win their trust over, so they'll believe in you, so that they'll actually say, okay, I believe you. You can't do it for cheaper than that. If somebody else can, it's because they're just hurting themselves. And if I do business with them and I trust them to put my equipment in, and this is highly technical stuff, what's going to happen when something goes wrong? Who am I going to call back in order to stand behind this? There's an awakening going on, guys. There's a lot of stuff out there. If you're not watching, it's not just economical. Okay. We got the economics of this situation. There was 1,000-point pullback. We saw the cryptocurrency take a major hit. We're seeing near civil war over there in the UK and some of these other places. We saw the election thing down in Venezuela. We're seeing things locally in different townships or city areas. In our area, we've seen the crime rate. We've seen a lot of stuff going on. We're not in Kansas anymore. You need a community. You need a community of people like you. That's what we're going to offer, that we can do virtually from long distance. But you also need a community locally, right? You need family, you need friends, you need like-minded awake people, and you need a circle of trust, because these things will be valuable assets the day it comes when you really need them, right? I say you need them, but in preparation of this, when the time comes and you do need them, they'll be there. So these are different things that we're going to talk about. Your branding is still very important. Unfortunately, you are judged by your appearance. So fix it. So appear like a big, successful organization packaged in a smaller family-owned business, if that's your strategy. But don't go in and thinking your work speaks for itself, because it don't. I've seen this happen in third world countries. I've seen what technicians at your skill set are having to sell their services for because they're in a third world country. What's the difference? The difference is the middle class. There virtually is none. There's the upper class, people with all the money. There's the lower class of people out there just trying to make ends meet. And then there's a few there in the middle that are basically like we are in our country, which we are massive in terms of our middle class, but it's being squeezed down and it's being affected. A lot of people are going to be losing their homes. A lot of people are going to have their cars repossessed. My son has his business. He was telling me, Dad, I feel really bad. I charged him my normal price, and the customer had to pay me on 2 credit cards, part of it in one credit card and the rest of it on the other credit card. It was the only way they could afford it. We've seen people go to the grocery store and they're having to put stuff back. It's not going to be pretty. And being part of a community and being part of and having integrity and being a decent person means you're probably going to be there for a lot of people in your community, and you're going to be there to help out. But you can't help others unless you take care of yourself. I hope you don't. I don't sound too negative, because this is not about negativity. This is about adjusting to reality, and sticking your head in the sand and not knowing what's going to happen next is not reality. Well, la 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 la. I'm going to the game this weekend, right? We're gonna go to the movies. We got this big gaming weekend. We're gonna be gaming all weekend, right? It's time to pull back, lay off the alcohol, lay off the other stuff, get your butt in shape, start eating healthy, right? Look at other ways. The old saying, if you give a man a fish, he eats for the day. But if you teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Learn to fish, guys. Stop depending on the system giving you a fish every day. Learn to fish. You need to have a little garden. You need to have a little something going on. You guys are smart. You work with your hands, right? Do these little things. Learn how to process certain things, because we may have outages, right? Your work may be more working with solar panels and solar powered air conditioning systems, backup generators. Your work may move that if we start going through these pocket of areas where the grid goes down, or if we, whatever is happening out there. We don't know this, okay? I'm not saying, doomsday, doomsday, doomsday. I'm saying prepare. We don't know. But what we do know is your vehicle to get you through this is your job. And if you don't have a job, then it's your business. And a lot of people are going to lose their jobs, but you're not going to lose your business. Not if you have a heads up strategy and you're paying attention to what's going on, you're listening to Pete, and you're doing some of this stuff. Guys, I'm 60 years old. I've seen a lot in my life. I was in the Army. I was stationed abroad, multiple countries. I've been in other countries living on the economy. I've seen some ugly stuff. I've seen some wonderful stuff. I've seen what a community looks like in a neighborhood where everybody knows their neighbors again. Now, I grew up in that in the United States, right? We knew all our neighbors. We all hung out. The old saying, you don't have to lock your doors. We literally didn't have to lock our doors. Everybody knew everybody. This pre-racist crap too. We all grew up together. We all played together. We didn't pay any attention to that stuff, right? Although, the adults were pushing it all and the TVs were pushing it all. Don't buy into that crap. Okay, we're all human beings. And there's a lot of division going on. Don't let them divide you. Don't fall for it. There's a lot of lies, a lot of disinformation, a lot of misinformation, and a lot of straight up lies. Pete Ramsey here, HVAC Greatness. Come join us. If you don't know your numbers, buy that program. By the way, it's regular $9.97, and you'll see half off discount code. You get it half off. You own it. It's yours forever. And you'll always be able to price your own stuff. And I got some price books in there for you as a little extra bonus. Pete Ramsey here, HVAC Greatness. You guys stay safe. Keep it between the ditches. Bye-bye.